Most of us don't know what kind of mentors we need. Why do we need them? How do you even find them? Let's learn from the 5 timeless mentorship cultures around the world. One of them might just change your life. We start our journey in Greece. This 2,400-year-old playbook still drives how Harvard builds its future leaders. The very word mentor came from Greek mythology. It comes from the Odyssey. But it was Socrates who rewrote the rules of mentorship. He didn't see himself as a teacher, but a midwife. Socrates mentored students by being curious. Like, is stealing always wrong? What if you steal to feed your hungry child? Is true democracy ever possible? The answers didn't matter to him. What he wanted was his students to become critical thinkers. That's how Socrates mentored Plato, who then mentored Aristotle, who then mentored Alexander the Great. A single chain of mentorship that can fundamentally reshape the world. There is a more recent example of this. In Silicon Valley, Bill Campbell was known as the $1 trillion coach, and he mentored the CEO of Apple, founders of Google, of Facebook, of Twitter. He did this by asking better questions. And these companies of course went on to change the world that we live in. And this Socratic model shows up everywhere today. In top business schools around the world like Harvard or MIT or Stanford or Wharton, the professors ask questions. They don't give the answers. They instead lead the discussion. The method shows up in modern psychology as well. It has become the foundation of CBT or cognitive behavioral therapy. But this method has its limitations as well. First, endless questioning can feel like verbal gymnastics to at least some of us who are not used to it. Second, great mentors are inherently curious. Now, there are some mentors who know the answers and still keep asking questions until they get the answer they want. That's not mentorship. That's actually annoying. And perhaps most importantly, there are studies that show that such Socratic methods in a group setting can have a potential bias against women and against those who are introverts. So keep those risks in mind. And if you're drawn to this kind of mentorship, here's something you can try. Number 1, look for someone who asks more questions than they give answers. Number 2, notice if they say, yes, great, but why do you think that? That's a very good sign. The mentor is interested in your metacognition, your ability to think about your thinking. And number 3, when you have such conversations, please write down the best questions. I have them written down and they have stayed with me for a long time. Now what if you need a mentor who rebuilds more than just your critical thinking? Well, to find that kind of mentorship, we have to travel to our next cultural destination. We now visit the traditions of ancient India, where a mentor is a guru. The sound gu means darkness. Ru means light. Guru literally means someone who takes you from darkness to light. In a 5,000-year-old Indian epic Mahabharata, there is a great battle raging, and one of the greatest warriors, Arjun, just breaks down before the battle. He's consumed with doubts and despair and he refuses to fight, and that's when his best friend and charioteer Krishna becomes his mentor, his guru. In the middle of the battlefield, Krishna gives him clarity, purpose, and direction. Arjun gets back up, puts on the battle gear and starts the fight, and they win the fight. That's the role of a true mentor, to help you get up when you feel defeated. In modern India, some features of this teacher-disciple tradition is called Guru-Shishya tradition. They're still practiced today in arts, in classical music, in dance, where you would stay and study with your guru for years. In fact, I was blessed to have a great master as my guru in music. He was the Yoda of our time, living legend. I spent 34 years under his mentorship. He taught me everything. How to be a good musician, how to be a good performer, but also how to be a good servant, a good listener, and hopefully a better man. And here's the kicker. In those 34 years, he never even once asked for a single dollar. But he enriched my life in more ways than I'll ever know. He was much older, but treated me like he was my best friend. He was the Krishna to my Urgent. So that's another flavor of mentorship for you. Your best friend who gives you the will to fight and helps you walk from the shadows into the light. Here's something you can try. First, if you're learning a craft or art, find a teacher or a master and become his or her apprentice and then put in the 10,000 hours of work. Second, if you're building skills, choose a mentor whose life you admire. And third, before committing, observe how they live, not just what they teach. Now, my guru or mentor was a gentle and giving friend. What if you want someone who's more in your face? If that's your choice of ice cream, then we need to go visit our third ancient culture. Our next destination is Middle East and Persia, the birthplace of Sufi mentorship traditions. Not all mentors create focus. Some deliberately create friction. Sometimes a mentor has to dismantle your worldview so it can be rebuilt. In the 13th century Persian Empire, there lived a great scholar named Rumi. He was a disciplined theologian, cold, precise, emotionally sealed until he met Shams of Tabriz, a wild wandering mystic who literally shattered everything believed in. As the story goes, Rumi went from a rigid scholar to a passionate mystical poet. Plot twist, Shams of Tabriz mysteriously disappeared one day. Some believe that he met the same fate as Socrates, killed for disrupting the established order. But Rumi's work lives on. From Beyoncé to Jay-Z to Brad Pitt to Satya Nadella, Rumi's words still guide creators and leaders around the world. So, if you're curious to experiment in this direction, you could try this. First, spend time with someone whose assumptions unsettle yours. Second, be open to a mentor who may destabilize your existing beliefs. We're assuming that you welcome such friction and that is your cup of tea. So, please trade with care. What if you want someone who will push you hard but in a humble, respectful way? Well, for that we have to travel to our fourth destination, Japan, the land of Zen and martial arts, where mentors focus on building your character and not your charisma. In Japan, the sensei isn't just a coach. They are the living embodiment of the path. In martial arts, you'll see students bowing down before they even enter the school or dojo. For them, it's a temple. They're humbling themselves in front of the path that came before in judo or karate or aikido. The belt systems might be different from school to school, but they all represent the student's journey on that path. For instance, in Gojo-kai karate, which I learned for a couple of years, long time ago, you start with a white belt. It's called shozen, a beginner's mind. Over time, the belts change colors. Yellow, green, brown. But you don't get to ask for the next belt. Your sensei decides when you're ready. As you gain mastery, you earn the coveted black belt. The paradox here, earning a black belt means you just started. It's like coming back to the beginner's mind. If you're curious about this type of mentorship, then you can try the following. First, choose a mentor whose humility you respect. Second, find someone who has walked that path before. And finally, honor the process and the path. The Japanese idea of effortlessness comes from thousands and thousands of reps, so embrace doing the same thing thousands of times until it becomes flawless. And once you have your black belt in whatever skill or trade you want to master, make sure you become a beginner again. So far, all the models that we talked about offer one-on-one mentorship. There are other models, of course, where the entire community provides guidance. And to learn about that, we go to our fifth and final destination. Our final stop is West Africa, where the Yoruba tradition builds a community of mentors around a young student. In such ancient West African tradition, the entire village had a responsibility to teach the apprentice. The market square was your MBA. The elders were your professors. Every day was a case study. Mentorship wasn't just one voice. It was the entire village. And this tradition has lived on and is present even today around the world. For instance, in tech clusters like Silicon Valley or New York City or Boston, this idea of collective mentorship is embedded in the ecosystem itself. In these ecosystems, mentorship is not an act of charity. It's a shared responsibility. Here are the 3 things you could try. First, if you know the industry or trade you want to pursue, find where such ecosystems and clusters exist. Second, well, what if you're still unsure about which industry you want to be in or you want to change the industry? Well, in that case, ask a few industry leaders around you. If you can shadow them for a few days, learn about them, learn about the industry. Now, when you ask, most will say no. But you need only one yes. So, keep trying. That's what I did. And third, offer your help in exchange for learning. Be humble about it. You might start as a marketing intern in New York and your day might initially involve just coffee runs for your teams. That's totally okay. You're learning about how the team functions even if you don't feel like it. Serving today leads to success tomorrow. Now, these 5 timeless mentorship models across cultures have one common thread. A mentor can help you see the way and change the way you see. I have been unusually lucky with mentors. My mentors saw something in me before I did. And maybe it showed up in me because they saw it. But you need someone who does exactly that for you. What if you haven't found your mentor yet? Well, let me say this with 100% conviction. You will find them or they will find you. Keep your eyes open in your extended family, in your neighborhoods, your school network, in your industry, in your temple, in your church, in your social network. Please don't give up. Our mentors always show up. If you found this video helpful, then please subscribe to my channel and check out the video on my journey from a monk to a millionaire. It's been a crazy ride. Please stay curious. Please stay hopeful. I'll see you next week. Thank you and I love.